What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Mental Wealth Talks. I'm RJ.
And I'm Diondre.
And if you're new here, we like to talk about everyday life and how to make it just a little bit better. Okay? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe because we're freezing and we need to monetize.
Yeah.
We need to buy new jackets. Currently, we're on the road to 500 subscribers. We're at 71, but we only need 429 left to make money, honey.
Yeah. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. Click that like button. Share it with everyone that you guys know because we're talking game here. We're preaching.
And honestly, you guys want to quit your job. We want to quit our jobs. Let's help each other. Drop your link in the bio or link in the comment, and then we'll go ahead and subscribe likewise.
Yeah.
Sounds good?
That's good to me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. So today's topic is going to be habits. Now we're talking about habits, which is sometimes it feels like a taboo word.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you picked up that habit.
Exactly.
Oh, we're creatures of habit. What does habits mean to us first? Like when you hear habit, do you think good or bad?
Typically bad.
Okay.
I think it has a very negative connotation a lot of the time. You say you pick up a bad habit, right? I rarely hear anyone say, or talk about good habits. So I see it as a negative when I hear habits.
And that's usually how it's set up because just like those little like phrases that like I ended up just saying was, hey, creature of habit, or you picked up a bad habit. It's all negative and very negative. And then sometimes when you feel like you're trying to pick up a good habit, it feels so hard. And that also kind of feels negative. Like, oh, I'm doing a habit or I'm trying to create a new habit. And I stopped after 2 weeks. So bloop, there it goes. Now it kind of falls into that negative side. But I think habits could be really good, man.
Yeah. And it's almost used as kind of an excuse, right? As, everyone, it's just a habit. That's what we are. That's what happens. And, it's hard to break out. But what we'll see in this video is there are ways to kind of handle bad habits and pick up good habits.
Yep.
And we'll even see the confusion or the, the misconception or, how can I say it? Never mind.
How can you say it?
Instinct and habit. I think a lot of people don't understand the definition or they get confused.
Yeah. So sometimes just the phrase, because I said it already twice, but we are creatures of habit. It makes you think like your habits are just in your body, like it's just something we do random and it's like something that we get pulled to, but not always. So I ended up looking up the definition of habit through Webster. Habits are actually going to be involuntary. Man, I lost the habit page. Habits are a settled tendency or usual manner of behavior. So that means something that you're typically always doing. So if you bite your nails, you're going to be biting your nails. That's a habit that you got going on.
Yeah.
Or it's an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. So it feels like an instinct because we do it without thinking.
Right. So those two are actually very related. So habits is, this again, something you pick up, something that is learned. It's automatic, but it's learned. And it's caused by triggers and cues, right? But an instinct, that's something automatic as well. But that is
like
unlearned.
primal, right?
Yeah, it's primal.
Yeah.
It's unlearned. It's unlearned. So and it's really triggered by environmental stimuli.
Okay.
I always talk about eye dilation or behind the scenes we were talking about phototropism. Just a little science tip here, how like plants respond to light stimuli. And, this is something that's unlearned, right? Yeah. You don't say, wow, you picked up on dilating your eyes, right?
What do you say? It's a new trick I learned.
Right. You say, you picked up on biting your nails. It's something that is learned. A habit is something that's learned. An instinct is something that is unlearned. It's,
it's in our DNA, kind of.
It's in your DNA. And different from species to species, by the way. Yeah.
I mean, this may not be the best time to ask, but like kind of like when they say survival of the fittest, could you have like maybe learned something like as a old ancestor of us, whatever, like they learned something and then boom, that became a habit in the future generation?
I don't think you learn it consciously. I just feel like it's something. It's DNA.
Okay.
So your DNA, it's genetic.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, over this long period of time, okay, we finally learned how to knee jerk or something, right?
Yeah.
It's more of maybe there was a mutation in a gene from the previous ancestor, and then it became expressed during our generation.
Perfect.
You know,
and now that I'm thinking about it, it wouldn't make sense to keep a bad habit like if it was like survival of the fittest or natural selection. Like if we're doing natural selection style, like we're only keeping good habits.
Exactly.
So now it's so interesting because now your genes kind of like, sometimes you hear that like certain traits could be given to you from your parents, like passed down, like alcoholism. You know, I know it's a disease. It could also be a habit, but if your family was alcoholics and then your extended family, you know, you could possibly also be susceptible to being an alcoholic, right?
Yes. That's all epigenetics.
Okay.
It's your environment.
Fancy word. Epigenetics.
It's your environment that can influence your genes.
Yeah.
So your great-great-grandfather could be an alcoholic, and maybe it's just not expressed in you, right? But then it may be expressed in your children and further down the line. Genes do get diluted over time, but that doesn't mean that it won't be expressed. You can carry that gene; it can be there, but it's not expressed for you. So yeah, there are some social behaviors and personality traits that are passed down. Everything is literally genetic. Everything.
Blame it on your genes, guys.
Yeah, blame it
on your mom and dad and your grandparents. So as we're on the topic of habits, there's a lot of habits out there, good and bad. Can you name some?
Yeah, it's definitely nail biting.
Okay, we got nail biting.
And we'll talk about it later. For me, eating late.
Okay, eating habits.
Eating habits. Bad money habits is another one.
Spending is a big one.
Excessive drinking for some people. So you can kind of see where it can be, just about anything. And you said bad habits, right?
Yeah, and it's just habits in general, but it's easier to just kind of lean towards the bad ones because what you just said as far as like eating late at night, like there can always be like an inversion to that. So if we have eating late at night, we have good eating healthy habits. Yeah. And those things are, wow, there's so many squirrels around. I hope the squirrels end up being a habit on our show.
Yeah.
So with saving or spending money, you can have a good habit of saving money, investing in retirement, investing into stocks, whatever it is. So a lot of habits could always just become good if you try to look for the opposite of it. So, some habits are like good habits, could be journaling, meditating, exercising regularly, maybe not drinking is a habit of yours or you're trying to break it. Maybe you only drink casually.
Drinking more water.
Yeah, more water, So there's a lot of these parts of like what we have in our life that are habits that could technically be good, but at the same time, they could technically still be bad. So at the end of the day, it's really up to us, right?
Yeah, it's completely up to us, and I feel like that may be a bit difficult for us to do. And again, like we said in the beginning, we make it seem like it is impossible, and habits are, have a negative connotation, but there are actually ways that you can actually control it.
Okay, so best way to speak about this is not to listen to a couple of guys who don't really know everything, but let's listen to people who are kind of like a little bit credible. So I've been getting into this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an awesome book. I suggest it to anybody interested in learning about habits or trying to break or create new habits. Yeah. So before we go really into it, James Clear, he is a New York Times bestseller. He was somebody who worked with I think Google, AT&T, Disney, and he has like an email subscriber list of over 3 million people. So people are going to James because they feel like he's a reliable source of information when it comes to habit creation. Habit creation and also habit destruction. Just a little bio was like, he started really honing in on habits when he was a younger kid I think he went through trauma, and then he kind of had to bring himself back from like zero, I think we've all gone through that, like starting at zero, not having anything, and just starting at a base where it's like, okay, let's build back up. So he saw habits as something super important to him in life, and when it became so like apparent to him that there are like systems, I want to say like systems in people and just how we operate, that there are ways to break and create new behaviors. So we got 4 laws right now in the book. 4 laws start with it starts with making it obvious. So because we're going to make it obvious, we want to see what habit we want to start, like, okay, we're going to make it obvious. The second start is going to be, let's make it attractive. So cool, we're going to make it attractive. That means that you want to actually do this. This is something that you're looking forward to, or something that you're like, oh yeah, I want to get that done.
Right.
All right, so we have the second one. Let's do the third one. It's going to be, make it easy for yourself. So many of us, I think of one example, which is throw your gym clothes in the car, man. Just throw them in the trunk. That's an easy one. Like, if you're trying to start a new habit, make it easy for yourself to do it. Like, don't set up roadblocks like, I can't do this, I can't do that. The last one is to make it satisfying. So give yourself a reason why to do this, bro.
Yeah, and I think it is something that is practical, but it's just about changing your mindset. That
practicality
is
the hardest part.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. It sounds easier said than done.
Always.
But maybe it's obviously these are steps. So you have to do one thing after the next. So even with making it obvious, that's kind of identifying that, hey, I have a bad habit. Ownership, owning that this is a bad habit. I think that's where
this is me.
Yeah. And then making it attractive. So now you have a bad habit, and now you're trying to go to a good habit.
Yep.
Right. And you want that good habit to be attractive, and that should give you more motivation to kind of
make it look pretty.
Make it look pretty.
You want to do it because it looks good. It's going to make you feel good.
And so as you're going to this new habit, this good habit, you're making it attractive. Do you also go to this other bad habit and make it look disgusting?
I mean, if you're trying to create a good habit, you're gonna make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and then make it satisfying. If you're trying to break a bad habit, you're gonna do the exact opposite. You're gonna make it invisible. You're gonna make it unattractive. You're gonna make it difficult, and then you're gonna at the same time make sure that it is unsatisfying.
I see.
So I know you mentioned nail biting. Nail biting is hard because nobody looks at their hands and they're like, oh my gosh, like my nails are so attractive when they're bitten all the time, right? Yeah. But I've seen like people who have tried like a lot of things. They've tried putting like hot sauce on their fingers. They've tried putting some like type of nail polish that is so bitter whenever you bite. Like, you got to go through those steps if you actually want to break them. Try everything. That's what I think.
Maybe even digging deeper to see what causes you to do that.
Are you anxious? Is that why you're biting your nails?
Yeah, maybe you could do something else.
And these 4 laws aren't like, they're not concrete. They're just going based off whatever James taught us in the book. We read the book, we see the laws, and now we're going to say, hey, is this something that we can bring into our life normally? So making it obvious, like, that seems pretty easy. Like, if I wanted to do something, I've heard this before, like, if you want to work on something, make sure that you see it either every day or every morning or every night,
Yeah.
So let's say for my phone, if I don't want my phone to be the first thing that I grab in the morning, I'm going to put it in a drawer, you know? Why not? True. Make it disappear, make it invisible, wake up, clean your eyes, go to a bathroom, go brush your teeth before you reach for Instagram or before you reach for your emails.
And just as habits are learned, they can be unlearned.
That part.
So, again, a lot of people might be discouraged about it, but you learned it at some point. You picked it up.
So literally.
You're able to drop it off as well. Like I say, compare it to instincts. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. Let your genes do the work. There's nothing you could do. But to kind of help you guys feel more empowered, if you're able to pick it up, you can drop it off.
Facts. I used to remember my mom saying something like, I didn't teach you to remember all 150 something Pokemon as a kid, so you can learn how to do something else. And she was like, you could learn how to like study for your vocabulary test. And I'm like, wow, now that I think about it, she's so right. Like, if I sat in front of that TV and they were just hitting me with like Pokemon, I'm like, even though it wasn't a habit, me showing up and watching that cartoon every Saturday morning, learning the Pokemons, playing the games, like, I made it a habit to learn their names, you know, and to understand what they mean. So now that means that you can, I don't know if you could ever forget Pikachu, but
you don't know all the 151. You made it invisible to yourself.
At that point, you start realizing priorities. So as a kid, like, you pick up habits that you may not always like think are the best. You may like nail biting. As a kid, you don't think about it, but as an adult, you're like, okay, what habits do I want? So kind of pivoting now into habits that we've kept in ourselves from childhood or from,
Yeah.
Adolescence. What habits have we kept? What habits have we dropped? And what habits do we actually want?
So
Hit us, D.
So, one that I've kept fairly recently,
Okay.
is listening to something funny on my way to work, or maybe somewhere stressful, or always
Detoxing a little
yeah,
bit?
detox.
Nice.
It's good because
Yep,
it
you
makes
need
you
it.
not think about where you're going. Because I do a lot of driving, so I actually got this new thing. It's called like an auto sky. I don't watch and drive, but it does play like a YouTube on the screen.
Okay.
And I watch funny stuff, so that's a habit that I kept. Like I turn on the car and put on my seatbelt, which is another habit, by the way, which is a good habit. Yeah, that is.
It
Putting
is a
on your
habit,
seatbelt
yeah,
is a
it
habit.
is a
That's a
habit.
habit. And then put on something funny. Something that what was the other one?
Something that you've kept, something that you've dropped. What habit have you dropped?
Hard rock bets and sports betting. So
What's the Post Malone? Where we betting, boys?
no, not on. I don't want to say the names.
Oh, man.
I can't say the company names, but you guys already know the sports betting platforms.
Yep.
And I always told my friends, hey, delete the app. But we have a group chat. They post their winnings. They say, yo, y'all boys, we
parlays
up.
hit.
Yeah. And I got into it. And just $10. And they know what they're doing.
Of course.
They like make the winnings in bold and in green. You know what I mean?
Makes you feel good.
And like almost gotcha, because you're so close to winning, and then you keep doing it. You keep doing it. So I had to, really make that obvious that, hey, like I'm spending $10, and it adds up. And then to make it invisible, just delete the app.
Yep.
You know what I
Make
mean?
it easy.
And then instead of this $10, that can go into my portfolio or somewhere else and invest.
Well, hello.
Wow. He wants to be in the video too.
I'll take a squirrel home.
But yeah, so I dropped the betting platforms.
Okay.
And then what I want are more naps, because I need that.
That's a good habit.
That's a very good habit. And a lot of people make it sound like it's bad. It's not. The people that are mad about you taking naps are because they can't take naps.
Exactly.
So take naps. And then eating late at night is another one. That's
something that you want to drop, or something you want to pick up?
Oh no, that would.
That's something you're trying to drop.
That would be okay. So I would, yeah. A good habit would be not to eat at night. That's not a good habit.
Yeah, something that you want is to have healthier eating habits at night.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, healthier eating habits.
Well, think about it like this: if you're still gonna eat at night,
yeah,
might as well have something a little bit healthier,
like a salad with no dressing.
With no dressing, or have a heavy meal before the nighttime hits. So when nighttime hits, you're not gonna be hungry.
Or like eat and then like at 7:00 have a hard cutoff or something like that.
And these habits that we all are trying to do, like, they're not easy. So like one that I've kept as a kid, or not as a kid, but like something a habit that I remembered is always like reading. So reading, and whether it's something that is fiction, something that is nonfiction, something that is like a self-help book, like I want to make sure I'm always reading something at least once a year. And that is something that like I really appreciate, because when I realize like this is not only for fun, but this is just me, like this is what I am, I like reading. I like I like the stories more so. As I've grown up, it's been more self-help books like James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Those things I realized, like, this is for my own personal growth and development, that a habit I want to keep with me. And I'm like, oh man, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Like, yeah, let's keep it rolling, even if it's one book a year, which trust me, I have taken at least 1 year to read a 300-page book. But you try to keep it, even though the habit may not be what you want it to be. You're still holding on to it.
You should use something called Goodreads.
Okay.
We're not sponsored,
but we can be.
But to keep track of the books that you read, and it feels good seeing, okay, I read this many books in a year.
Yeah.
This is how many books I want to read next year. Okay. And it's like kind of goal setting for your reading.
And that's important.
It's very interesting. You should look into it. Goodreads. It's an app too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good reads to help me keep up my habit that I want to keep reading at least one book a year. I do want to increase it, but that's not something that I really want. Something that I dropped as a habit, which sounds so corny, but like I don't eat mayo anymore. You know, some of you mayo lovers out there, I love mayo as a kid growing up, but as an adult, that just attacks my stomach, man. I don't know what to say. Like, some foods don't hit right. So whether you're lactose intolerant or you're allergic to mayo or whatever, there are some habits that are like, man, they're not beneficial towards us. Like, they're making me feel bad. Like, I love a good Cold Stone ice cream, you know? I love pizza. But when I'm in the bathroom for X amount of time, that habit isn't worth it anymore.
It's the pizza with the heavy tomato sauce.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so
you
good.
Get
I love it.
Heartburn and everything. It's
I
not
love the
good
heartburn.
for you. Yeah. You don't think about it at that moment, but later,
And the habit is like, hey, so for mayo, I always had mayo in the house, you know, whether I'm making sandwiches, whether I'm having like, I don't know if people know, but a lot of our sauces have mayo, are mayo based, like ranch, like, not blue cheese. Is blue cheese? I don't know. But ranch is one of my favorite, guys. And I truly was upset when I'm like, there's mayo and ranch, potato salad has mayo, like all these little things. I just stopped bringing mayo into the house, and I was like, you know what? We're done. I have it occasionally as a treat.
Yeah, so if you open up the fridge and it's there.
Just grab it. But I really did, like once I stopped buying it, or once I ran out, I was like, I'm not gonna buy it again, you know? And if I do have it, it's because I'm out and I'm treating myself, because again, like, my habit is not eating mayo in my everyday diet. But my treat is, you might have a pizza or a mayo sandwich, you know, or like something that isn't healthy, like we were talking about eating habits.
So in this case, sometimes you can completely drop a habit, or you can kind of minimize it, is what you're saying. Depending on what the habit is, of course. Maybe, again, just as an example, you're an excessive drinker. You know, you want to drop that, but maybe you can minimize it. You know, to completely go cold turkey is very difficult. Maybe you just become a social drinker. So that's something you could do too.
You could put a limit on how many drinks you buy, but some of us aren't like that. You know, we'll say, oh, I'm only gonna buy 2 drinks, and then debit card has enough for however many I want. But you could say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the bar with $40. Whatever those $40 get me, it is what it is, and that's it.
It is what it is.
And I think one more habit that I would want in my life is probably doing cardio more. Man, I used to be so on it, like doing 1 mile a day when I was in my early 20s. But as I've gotten older, it's hard to keep up with this stuff.
It might be the running. A lot of people don't like running.
I know.
But, you know, there's other cardio.
But you see, I said cardio. I didn't say running. I just said cardio.
No, but you said run a mile.
I used to, but now I just want something. I just need give me a bike. Let me get a bike.
A bike.
Let me get a bike, bro. Bikes are expensive.
I mean,
it's like $200.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
At least
like
one
nice
for
ones.
like me, my size. So when I think about it, like, okay, why do I want this habit? I want this habit because I want healthier habits that are like gonna not only make me feel better, like exercising and losing weight, but like this is something long term. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and be old, and I want to chase like grandkids around, or just not be in a wheelchair too much. So when I see cardio, like, I see it as a long-term investment habit. It's just really hard to do right now because I'm lazy.
And what's interesting is it kind of opens the door for other good habits, right? I assume if you are taking your cardio more seriously, then maybe it goes into good eating habits. You know, like you said, you want to get a bike. There's plenty of bike
together.
Yeah, there's kind of there might be even bike clubs.
True.
So now you're around other people who bike, and maybe they're even way more fit than you, and they give you game, and then you're inspired. So it's kind of like a cast-based cascade.
I don't even know what that is. Cast-based cascade.
We'll put the definition here. Yeah, it's completely off topic. But it's just a chain reaction. Right?
Got it.
You have one thing, and then that leads to another, but it's all leading to good things.
It's like if you change your, like when you were talking about eating habits, like, you know, maybe you'll sleep better at night because we're not full, or maybe going to sleep earlier will make your habit of waking up earlier easier. Like they do all kind of go together. Like one, I don't want to say causation, but one does always usually tie into something else in your life. So, hey, one good habit could affect another good habit the same way how one bad habit can go ahead and affect a bad habit or a good habit. Like,
even you think about if we switch it and go to the bad habits, you are maybe a casino gambler. And listen, love the casino gamblers. I worked at a casino.
Shout out gamblers.
Yeah, but there are some degenerates. So now you have a bad habit of gambling. You're in an environment with people who are degenerates, and you pick up their bad habits. I've been at the casino. There's some people that they betted for the first time. They became a gambler. Ooh. They never smoked before. Now they smoke. They never were excessive drinker. Now they're excessive drinker because you're around that environment.
It's hard.
Yeah.
What is it? You hang around a barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but it's true. Like, if you're gonna be there and you're trying to like have a certain habit, your environment matters. It matters so much to you, because like these little cues that you're gonna have, the cues are important to say, hey, like, what's triggering me? If I go home and I see like a bag of chips, immediately that's like, hey, that's my cue to munch on. I like some Cool Ranch Doritos, bro. But if I'm trying to say, hey, I'm trying to do something different, I got to switch up the environment. Leave the chips for the outside. Maybe if you want chips, like we were saying, treat yourself. Take $1 on Fridays and go to the vending machine and get a small bag of chips.
Yeah, Margie, $1 though. It's not $1.
$1.50, $1.50. Go to a gas station, go to a little bodega where it's $1.
I haven't heard those prices since I was in like middle school.
Yeah, I was just thinking about middle school.
You get the four chips for $1.
Yeah.
Now it's like what, 3 for $30? I don't know.
I saw a Gatorade for $2.
$2.
A regular Gatorade for $2. I was like, man, times are rough.
Yeah, those are bad.
It's not easy. Nobody's saying this is easy, guys. Like, this is hard. This is hard work,
Yeah. But take it step by step.
That's the important part. Use these laws, like, if making it obvious didn't work for you, maybe you have to make it attractive. If making it attractive didn't work, make it satisfying or make it easy. And that might be the first step. Make it easy for yourself, man.
Yeah. You had mentioned before just throwing the gym clothes in your car. Like you want a good habit of, you want to take care of your health. Mm-hmm. You want to get into a good habit of going to the gym, do your cardio. Your gym clothes are there. It makes it very easy. Yeah. You can't say, I left it home and it's this far. It's accessible. It's right there. Mm-hmm. So it's even like, bad habit, you make it invisible. Good habit, you make it easy and present.
Just so we could do it.
Exactly.
We could be pulled to it more, because do you think I'm pulled to eat a salad at 7 p.m.? No, I would like the chicken, rice, and maybe steak if I got another protein.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to make these little changes in your life and then incorporating those small little movements, like, okay, you know what? Maybe you won't have the full salad for dinner, but you can have a steak salad, maybe a chicken salad.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A's chicken salads?
Yeah.
A1.
And you know what else helped? Because I have another one, is kind of to lose weight. And what I found was you portion your meals, just kind of like a calorie deficit.
Okay.
Not saying you don't eat at all. So I've done like intermittent fasting. Mm-hmm. I've done like a water fast. Out of all of the things that I've done, the best thing, and that just worked for me. I'm not giving
personal only.
I didn't even go to the gym or anything like that. I just reduced my calorie intake. Yeah. And it was just enough for me to have enough energy. I wasn't feeling like I was passing out. I just realized a lot of us, again, we may overeat just because it's there. But if you really portion things out, you can lose weight. So that's a very good habit too. Just, looking at your plate and saying, Slice.
You don't need this, big boy.
Yeah. And
hurts.
again, you can break these bad habits. You're not going to. It's not like it's the end of the world. Like you're going to die. Again, instincts. There's nothing you can do there. That's instinctual. Habits, they can be broken.
And this is important to us because we're just trying to get better. Like we all are. Not all of us are conscious, but personally, I'm conscious of some good things that I've kept throughout life. Some things that I could tweak a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point of, like, I guess, being self-aware, trying to develop and grow as a human. If you're going to be the same person that you were 10 years ago, I mean, I hope you're happy with who you are, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of us being here on this planet. It feels like is to grow, develop. I don't know about society and creating capitalism, as we always talk about, but
Yes, a whole separate topic.
Developing forward, and contributing to life itself is, it's not kind of like being stuck in this like hedonic loop of like bad habit, bad habit, bad habit, bad habit. It's like,
right.
Well, if you're doing the bad habit and you're like, man, I don't like this anymore, that's rings the bell number one,
Right,
like that's
right.
important to us. Like, you're trying to break a habit, or maybe you're kind of in this place where you're not great, but you're not bad. You just want to do a little bit better. That's where habits come in too. How are you going to break that glass ceiling if you don't try to like outdo yourself from 10 years ago or a year ago? So these habits are, we can't run from them, bro.
Yeah, and it's always about doing something different, right? Because you're constantly in the cycle of bad habits. You're just doing the same thing over and over and expecting,
different result.
Different result. You're going to get the same result.
Yep.
At some point, you have to break. Life is all about experiences, learning, and then unlearning some things, learning new things, and then keeping up with those good habits. And for me, I think they're important because I do have a family, so that's something I want to instill, especially in my daughter.
Yep.
I want to be able to have these good habits and teach her about some of these good habits, and empowering her to break out of any bad habits she has, and things like that.
Yeah.
Because we're up here talking about it. I'm sure people are out there. You guys have bad habits, good habits, and I think what's important to me is us letting you guys know they can be broken, and you guys got this. So.
There's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope for us, so there's hope for you.
And step by step. I'll say it again. Step by step. Most important.
Yep. And if you think about it, nobody grows up, and I mean, I actually shouldn't say nobody. If you're going to sit here and look at your habits, ask yourself, is this something that you want? Is this something that will help your future family or your future, environment, your friend group, If you waking up early and going on that run, or eating healthy, or drinking casually on the weekend, like if those are things that are actually making you feel better, follow that. But if you're getting plastered every weekend and you wake up in somebody's house and you're like, oh my God, looks at your bank account, I spent how much last night? Oh, now you're late on projects. Like, if you don't feel good, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That's a bad habit.
That's a bad habit.
That's a bad habit. And on top of that, you got to do the work. So do the work, realize it yourself, ring that bell, whether it's good or bad, and power through it.
And you can always have an accountability buddy too. If you can find a very good one, I would definitely recommend that too. So
10 out of 10, because this guy got me up early and it is cold in the morning right now.
Yeah.
It's freezing and I'm ready to sign off, man.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm shivering. You guys can't see it, but it's really cold.
It's
We're
cold.
in Florida, but there's this whole like it's pretty cold here.
I'm looking at the squirrels like a fur coat, low key.
And they're jumping and flying and
I'm gonna
everything.
catch one and put it around. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode on habits. I want to give a special thank you to James Clear for his book Atomic Habits. We'll link all his information below. Go find him at jamesclear.com, atomichabits.com, and go get that information for yourself so we could literally work on this together. It's not just me, even though it's personally just me, but we're here together. This is a community, We're trying to do better. We're trying to make life better, and that's all we can do is just try. So
that's it.
Get your butt up and try.
Yeah, and all the resources will be linked in the description for you guys to check out. So I really recommend you guys do that.
And always remember to subscribe, because we are currently at 71 subscribers, only 429 to go before we monetize.
Yep. So go ahead, click that like, comment, and then of course share with all of your friends. Share with people that you think that need to hear this, and I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much again. I'm RJ.
I'm Diondre.
Bye.
Peace.
Ooh.